What's up? Welcome to The Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. And yeah, last time we did Season 2 of Fear the Walking Dead. By the time this is uploaded, it will already be published. So please give that one a like, comment, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. And this is Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. So, so the season starts off with Madison, Alicia, and Travis all getting taken to a military base. By the end, because so they take Travis for some reason, and he gets pushed to a room with Nick, Luciana, and a bunch of other people. So he basically is like, hey, your mom, your sister, they're all fine. And yeah, so these military guys consist of Troy, absolute worst guy ever, and a bunch of other dudes. So what happens is that Troy is like, so they're basically baiting walkers for fun, because betting on how many people can turn to a walker, then they shoot them, because these guys are the worst type of people. The worst. So yeah. So Travis decides to get locked up. Meanwhile, Nick and Lucy I'm gonna call her Lucy. It was really cool. Yeah, to call her Lucy. Nick and Lucy are just rolling through the sewers. So meanwhile, Madison and Alicia are, trapped in this room with Troy. And he's basically hitting on them, and it's just like, why does he care? If he was such a villain, wouldn't he want to kill them? But nope, he lets Travis get captured, and Madison, wanting to know where her boyfriend is, totally pokes this guy. But the other guy, I think his name's Nick, he's like, hey, that's my brother. And she's like, just tell me where my boyfriend and family are. So they tell them, and Troy gets a stab out of the eye, so his eye is pretty messed up for the rest of the season. And yeah, so Nick and Madison decide to get into a car, while Alicia, Travis, and the others are in a plane, and that plane ends up getting shot down, with Travis being the most infected, as his guts are out. So Travis decides, rather than turn to Walker, he jumps off the build. He knows that he's gonna die. Yeah, so he decides to jump off the plane and die. And that's the end of Travis's character. After everything he went through for the first 2 seasons, just for him to randomly get killed off, kind of doesn't make any sense. He just lost his son, and they randomly decided to kill him off immediately after that. It doesn't. I know a lot of people have a problem with Travis's death scene, because it proved that the show can't go back to what it was. So yeah, so Madison and Nick are unaware. So they find this ranch owned by Jeremiah Otto, and he's basically the leader of. He's Troy and Jake's father. So yeah, so he really likes Madison, and is like, hey, let's stay. So yeah, but then Alicia comes back, and Madison obviously has to find out that her boyfriend is dead. And yeah, Luciana's in critical condition, so they think she's dead, but Troy offers to kill her, but Nick's like, no, you're not going to kill her, you're going to get her medical attention. So, yeah. But then Madison's like, hey, we're going to take over this place. Because they immediately decided to make her Rick now. Yes. Madison is basically female Rick, or the female main character, because now she's a total badass. Which, I don't get why. So, meanwhile, we have a Strand story. We have a Strand story where he gets, we have a Strand story where Strand's at the hotel. Yeah, Strand's at the hotel. where he's, on his own. But he decides to leave and connect with an old buddy named Ramon Prado. That sounds neat, but he played by the same actor, so I'm obviously gonna call him Ramon Prado. So he gets thrown in jail, and in jail he meets Daniel Salazar. Yeah, that guy's not dead. He was able to survive the explosion and seemingly not die. And, Shrin tries to tell him, hey, your daughter's not dead, but he's like, you'll say anything to get your way out of your situation. I'm not believing you. So meanwhile, we get a Daniel flashback about, yes, there's a lot of flashbacks in this season, about how we get a Daniel flashback about how he ended up where he was, about how he, how he met this guy who led him to Ramon Prado, who then they thought he was stealing stuff, so Daniel had to punch him, but tried to kill him, only revealed that he was actually betraying them, and shoots Ramon Prado, and he allows Lola to kill him, but she's like, yeah, no, we're gonna keep you around for how many seasons the show has, so you stick around. So we get Daniel back on this season. Yeah, kind of random. So meanwhile, with Madison in the group, Nick and Alicia are like, hey, we shouldn't stay here. But Madison's like, yes, we should, because we can get in with these people. These people are nice. Yeah, there's this girl named Gretchen who invites Alicia to this thing where they get drunk and on wine and water, and so Madison and Nick join Troy's group, and they learn about Walker, not the Walkers, a guy named Walker, who basically believes that Troy and his family have stolen from the Indians, and he wants to get his land back. But Troy's dad doesn't want to work with the Indians. Yeah, and P.S. if this isn't, so Madison wants to wage war on the Indians, because I don't know, the writing has been thrown out the window since Travis died. She just is like, hey, we should fight back against Walker. We see him kill, so we should fight back. Yeah, we should fight back, because, I don't know, she lost all character when Travis died, so Jake is like, hey, Alicia, I'm gonna go talk to Walker, because maybe if I'm gonna talk to Walker. So meanwhile, some of the people, including Gretchen's dad, wants to leave the ranch. Wants to leave the ranch. So but Troy doesn't like it, and is like, hey, you don't get to desert us. But he's like, so later when they're investigating, they find them dead, and Madison knows Troy did it. So but when it comes to Gretchen, Madison had so many conversations. Yeah, so it's revealed. So they discover. So Nick had no conversations with her, so she shoots him, and they discover that it was Troy who did it. But to protect everyone, Madison lies and says, hey, it was Walker that killed all these people, killed the 3 people. So Alicia's like, oh crap, my new boyfriend is gonna go after Walker even though he's a killer. So she goes and she meets Ophelia. Yes, Ophelia works for Walker now. And she tries to say, oh yeah, I've been with Walker. Ophelia was, we'll find out why later, but Ophelia works for Walker now, and he tries to tell Alicia, saying, hey, I was with Walker all night. He's like, hey Ophelia, you work for a killer, and she's like, he killed Gretchen and her family, and she's like, no, he didn't. I was there. I was with him all night. He didn't once kill. He didn't once kill at all. So yeah. So now Madison's conflicted, being like saying, is Ophelia tell the truth, or did her mom just lie to everyone? So yeah. So they point to rescue, and but Jake's like saying, hey, Madison, you don't lead this group, even though they let her in on every meeting. Aside, he's just like saying, hey, and she's like, hey, we went to rescue, and she's like, I was safe until Troy started killing those people, and she's like, well, yeah. So yeah, so meanwhile with Strand and Daniel, Strand is able to get out of the situation, but Daniel is like, hey, I know where Ophelia is. But he takes him to the hotel, and he's like, hey, she was here. And he's like, oh, you lying? I'm going to take your cart and desert you. So he takes his cart and deserts him and goes back to his other friends, Lola and the other guy. So, yeah. So she basically, Walker is basically John Redcorn. Forgot from the King of the Hill, but not. He's more junior, but still. But anyway, I just gotta say, they're really, like, so Madison basically tell her backstory, which we're not meant to take her backstory, but we all know it's her backstory about her dad, how this politician was friendly behind the scenes, but he was a wife beater. He was a friendly guy on stage, but behind the stage, he was a wife beater. So his daughter decided to kill him, and that daughter happened to be Madison. Yes. So that night, Nick and Otto kind of had this whole, relationship, but Madison's about to kill him, and she's like, hey, I'm not gonna kill you, you do it yourself. And he's like, you really think you're gonna kill me? But the Nick's like saying, yeah, I'll do it for you. Kills the guy. So they make it look like he just killed himself randomly, and now Walker has decided to take the ranch, because, I don't know, he decided to be like, hey, I'm here for your ranch, and you guys will follow my rule. So no one decides to follow his rule, and even Troy's trying to go along with everyone by saying, hey, you're in bed with a killer, meaning Walker. It's kind of weird that he's trying to incite everyone to believe that Walker killed those people when he in reality killed those people. So even Alicia starts noticing, you're in bed with Walker, and she's like, you killed Gretchen's family and then blamed it on Walker when it was really Troy. She's like, you are a cruel person, Madison. She's like, don't say that about me. And she's like, Gretchen was like her friend, even though they had like one scene together, and then second scene they had together, she literally just blew her off. But they're friends. Yeah, they had only one scene together, and they're friends. How does that work? They had one scene together, and then their second scene together, she decided she didn't want to hang out with her anymore, and she calls that her friend. So she basically is like, also Madison gave Walker the head of so everyone's losing out on water, so Madison and Walker decide to go out and get some water. They have a Heisenberg ballad from Breaking Bad in the background of this scene, and it's good. I guess it's meant to be some random Mexican music, but we all know it's a Heisenberg ballad from Breaking Bad. So they get Madison tries to connect to Alicia, but Alicia's busy, so Madison decides to hand over her walkie-talkie because she doesn't. So Alicia tries to get her later, but by the time tries to get her later, she's already signed it away. Weird. The show's weird, man. This show's weird, man. So yeah, so Troy's causing problems. So Troy's causing problems. So they decide to exile him. So he causes a gigantic horde to show up. Nick and Jake, Alicia's boyfriend, decide to go and stop him, which causes in Jake's death by getting eaten by a walker. All the walkers show up. A bunch of people decide to take morphine and die, but Ophelia and her friend are just because Ophelia's at the ranch now. Forgot to mention that Ophelia is at the ranch now because there's this episode where Ophelia was sent in to kill people for Walker, and she did that. So she has a zombie near her, but then she shoots it. So she gets out of there. Alicia has a talk with one of the moms there about how she forgot the words of "this land is our land," and Nick was there with her, and he just got up on stage and he started forgetting the lines until he started playing the song. And now she's like, she misses that Nick, because that Nick. So she finds out Jake and is like, and they're like, so meanwhile so Strand was at this place. I forgot to mention, Strand was at this place that was like, Strand was at this place, and he was like, oh yeah. So Madison and John Redcorn Jr. / Walker finds him, and Walker is immediately like, hey, let's abandon this guy. He has too much debt on him, and but Madison's like, hey, this guy's a friend. We're not going to abandon him. So so they make a deal so he says, hey Madison, Daniel's alive. They see Daniel, and he's like, hey, where's Ophelia? And she's like, hey, Ophelia's on our ranch. She's fine. So he basically is like, hey, they're like, hey, we're not going to give you any of our water. But then she was like, hey, we really need that. We'll give you our guns. And he's like, yeah, but if you give us our water, I want my daughter back. So they do that. So, yeah. He wants his daughter back. So meanwhile, so after what happened to them, with the situation, Alicia just is like, hey, how do we know this dam is safe? She's like, because we do. And she's like, you've said that before about places that turns out to be dangerous. And she's like, yeah, there's no way I'm going with you. I have to be on my own. So she walks off on her own. Nick finds her, tries to convince her to come back, and she's like, no, I'm not coming back. So Nick's like, hey, yeah. So Ophelia falls out of the truck and reveals that she was bit by a walker off screen. So Ophelia is on the verge of dying. And Nick decides to relapse on drugs again, takes one of Ophelia's medications, and goes back into annoying drug Nick. Yes, this is literally a storyline where Nick goes back on drugs and becomes annoying again. Like, we already had him go off of drugs in the beginning of the season. He's back on them. And he gets Troy, the worst guy. Yes. We're meant to believe that he's a good guy and they're best friends. But we don't, because the show didn't even build them up to be best friends. Yeah, they both take the pigskin and become drugs and become drugged out. And Nick's like saying, hey, you guys go along, we'll catch up with Dan. And meanwhile, Alicia is on her own when she meets a random girl while she's in a ball pit. And they get kidnapped, and these guys try to get them, but Alicia is like scares them off. But the lady's like, hey, why didn't you kill them? So she's able to go to this guy who's the leader of the Proctors, the people that Strand just signed himself to. He told Nick basically like saying, hey, I did this to protect you and your mom, but basically messing over Daniel and Lola. So Because Strand is kind of good, kind of not. So yeah, so Alicia becomes this guy's nurse. He fixes his paralyzed back while this guy's conscious. So he goes back in the field and he's like, hey Strand, and so Strand's like, hey, your mom and your sister are fine, even though he did try to tell them to leave. Yeah, Nick has this whole scene where he's like, hey, if you put him down, just put him down. And she's like, there's no way you're dying. And she's like, and then she's like, hey, you were always this badass, but that's not who she was at all. She was a nice person. I don't get why the show's trying to convince us that she was always this bad. But she wasn't. She was just a nice, normal person living in a pre-apocalyptic, post-apocalyptic world. But now Nick's trying to tell us, oh yeah, you were always like this. Lies, show. Don't tell us what we are already seeing her do. Don't tell us that she's a badass character when she's really not. She only became badass during the apocalypse. Don't tell us that she was always like this. This show's like this. So, yeah, so basically Madison, so she's basically like, hey, Strand messed up our deal with your mom, Madison, so she's like, hey, if she would have been here right now, we'd have killed her, and I don't know what he says. And the thing is, so they go to where the dam is, and, and Nick and Madison holds a gun to Strand, and it's like, hey, we're in this because of you. So meanwhile, Strand did tell Madison about the problem, and Troy was like, oh yeah. He also did, yeah. Troy was like saying, hey, he's the one, tell him, you're the one that causes horror here. You're the reason, yeah. So we'll talk about that Ophelia scene when we get to it. But he's like, you're the reason we're here and stuff. So she basically is like, yeah, you're evil, so I'm gonna knock you over and kill you. So that's the end of Troy. Meanwhile, back with Ophelia. So the night that Daniel's meeting with Ophelia dies as soon as he shows up, and Daniel's like, yep, get out of here. So she does, and he shoots her. So he's like, hey, I know this isn't the place for you. Like, where's the place? So the Proctors kill Daniel's friend Lola. They kill the other guy. Strand did what was working for the Proctors, so he did graze Daniel. But yeah, Daniel's not dead, and yeah, he's not dead. Daniel's not dead at all. So meanwhile, with everything that's going on, what happens is that Daniel decides that Daniel sees. So they shoot Lola. The Proctors basically just stab her in the back and then shoot her in the head, like seconds. So when Daniel finds her dead body, it just says the Water Queen, and that's what she was. R.I.P. Lola. So meanwhile, So basically, because the Proctors are the random villains now, randomly, he's like, hey, I'm gonna kill your mom, I'm gonna kill your brother, and I'm gonna make you both watch. But Nick's like, hey, yeah, this is my suicide note, and also my leavings of the show, and it says, hey, get out of here. So Nick blows up the dam. He blows it up. We don't know what happened to him. Walker kill all the guys, including the guy the main Proctor boss, and all we see is Daniel grab Nick. So we don't know if Nick dies from that. So yeah, but all we see is we all see this random transition sequence of Madison at Christmas time having fun with Luciana, her next baby, all the other dead and alive characters, but then they open the turkey to reveal it's Otto's dead head. So then she goes to talk to Otto's grave when she gets something to the bottom until Travis shows up, and then let's go. So then we see that Madison is all by herself in the ocean, and does a zoom in shot where this Mexican girl's like hola, and then she's like hola, and that's where the season ends. Wow, boom, just showing that none of the people there have water anymore. So that's season 3, and it's a mixed bag. Like, I don't know how to feel about this one. So we don't know how to Nick. We don't know. We might get Morgan from The Walking Dead next season because he's in the poster, and we knew that he's in the poster for next season, so he might be a mainstay. Don't know if he's gonna be in next season. He might based on the poster. Hopefully if this is pre-season, end of season 8 Morgan, or pre when he showed up in season 5 Morgan. Who knows what Morgan will be getting next season. But yeah, we don't know what happened to Nick. Did he die off screen? What happened to Alicia and Strand? Why was Madison on the water all by herself? Who knows? Season 4 will answer those questions for us. But anyway, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time when I review Season 4 of Fear of the Walking Dead.